Our executive editor, Rhythm Anand Bhardwaj, and I are joined by India's topmost jurist, senior advocate and King's Counsel, Harish Salve, joining us from London this evening. Mr. Salve, you have a history with the case. I need you to explain this once and for all for people. And let me tell you frankly, Mr. Salve, if I can be a little informal about it, I'm fed up about this constant questioning of the EVM system. I went to vote today, Mr. Salve, and I found the process so smooth, and I found everyone who was coming out in a jiffy, happy with a smile. You could see who you had punched your vote for. You could see the VVPAT slip. But when we see these people, even in the second phase of voting, trying to cast aspersions, what is the intention? Let's go to the intention here before I go into your history with the case. Mr. Salve.
Did you, when casting your votes, see how the names are arrayed?
Yes, I did.
They're alphabetical?
Pardon me, no. Alphabetical.
It's candidate-wise, right?
Candidate-wise, yeah. It's not in alphabetical order, no.
No, the candidates' name are written one after the other.
Yeah.
So BJP or Congress could be in one constituency, the 4th, in another constituency, the 7th, in some other constituency, the number 9th button. Correct?
Yes.
It's not that the same political party will have the same button all the time. Correct? Let's start from there.
Yes.
So the suggestion that the machine is rigged, that any button you press, number 4 will get pressed, may actually end up with all independents getting elected. You know, I mean,
that's true, actually. Yeah.
This challenge had come up, exactly this challenge, in 2019. One thing, Arnab, you asked me the motive. I want to put a doubt. This is the season of creating doubts. Let me create a doubt.
God, yes.
Why is it that when every time happens, there is an American expert?
American expert?
There is a 2019, there was an American expert who said, I can hack this machine. When Hindenburg happens, there is an American report.
Oh, that's right.
When human rights abuses happen in India, there is an American
angle.
Always. No, there's always a foreign expert.
Oh,
of course, nobody tells you that we feed information to a selected person, he gives a report and then we present it. This is what goes on in all these.
You're right, you're right.
Now what happened in 2019 and what happened this time? And that's why I feel the Honorable Prime Minister and your sanguine hope that this is the last you've seen of this may not be true. 2019, the Election Commission declared what they called a hackathon. They said, come along and hack it.
Yeah.
Mr. Kejriwal's party sent somebody. I think the American expert or his friend, somebody came. And he said, I have to take the machine home. And he came with a machine which was hacked.
Yeah.
So the short answer was yes. If you change the motherboard, you can change it, right?
Yeah.
So,
anyone can. You can. Rhythm can.
Correct. At home.
Rhythm can. Who can't operate a cell phone properly, even she can.
Correct. But what did they say? That anybody can run away with this machine and fix it and come back. So we said, that's not what you're saying. You're saying it can be hacked. I remember settled the counter affidavit of the Election Commission for the Supreme Court in 2019, I think, or maybe 2018, 2019. And that is when I was educated on how this machine works. It is not connected to the internet. It has no Bluetooth connectivity.
Right.
Its connection to the printer with the VVPAT is by a cable. So there is no way in which you can, to use digital language, talk to this machine. Secondly, and I'm again speaking of memory, these machines are all stored in a warehouse. When the stores are opened and the machines are taken out, the representatives of political parties are invited. The machines are first jumbled up and made into separate lots and sent, if it is a state election, the requisite machines are sent to the state. If it's a Lok Sabha election phase-wise, the machines are sent to the states where the elections are going to be held. When they reach there, those boxes are opened, again, presence of political parties, representatives. The machines are jumbled up. And then they are taken for programming constituency-wise, because as you saw, every constituency will have different names of candidates. And therefore, the button for a political party will depend on what the list looks like. That is done in the presence when it is dispatched, and then the machines are received. A trial run is conducted of the machines. The machines work well, and then the machines are deployed for elections. The VVPAT is what we call a belt and braces provision. It is just to make sure nothing goes wrong. And the Election Commission has clarified there has never been a discrepancy between the VVPAT and the machine. That is yet another falsehood being perpetrated. So I fail to understand why, on what basis are these doubts created? Once again, the same story. The machine can be hacked. Somebody can fiddle with the machine. Somebody can do this. Somebody can do that. But you know what gives away this time? What gives away the game? Let's go back to paper voting. Why? Because Germany has paper voting, right?
Yeah.
Germany has paper voting. England has paper voting. How different is the culture and the ecosystem here? In England, every citizen of the Commonwealth who pays tax is entitled to vote. So I have a vote in England. I will be voting for the House of Commons here when the elections are held. I'll walk up to the polling station. They're all having tea, coffee. A handful of people show up. They ask for your name. I have never been asked for an identity. They take your word for it. You give your vote. You come away. This is the ecosystem. This is the culture here. This is the ambience in which voting is held. Can you compare this to the rough and tumble of Indian elections? So, you know, when people give these kind of examples, wonder. And they are not uneducated people.
And
they know it.
I tell you.
This is basically putting the country's democracy in a question mark. We have people who go and conduct seminars. I'm not naming anybody. They are very eminent people, extremely, extremely clever and wise, who go and conduct seminars with students of Oxford and Cambridge, run India down. There are people who go and give speeches all over the world and say Indian democracy is dead, Indian constitution is dead, India has dictatorship, including those whose family had imposed emergency, make these kind of speeches. So, you know, this has been going on to pull India down. And today, I have said this before on your channel, and I repeat this, Arnab. Today, when I walk on the streets of this city, people look up to me as an Indian. There was a time when people smile derisively at you. Today, people look up to you. There are some people who are not happy with this.
We're proud of that.
And there are some people who are not happy.
We're proud of that. We're proud of that, Mr. Salve, and we're proud of that. I mean, let me tell you, and I put the next question to Rhythm, just something anecdotal. Today when I was going there to vote, and there was this school where I was voting, and there were all the teachers there and all the people there who were standing up in the different booths, you know, where you're voting. And I asked them, and I thanked them after casting my vote. I said, you are doing such a great service for the country. Such a great service for the country. And they said with a big smile on their face, this is what we feel so proud doing. And some of them told me that Arnab ji, आज हम सुबह 4 बजे आ गए, 4 बजे पहुंच गए इस प्रक्रिया को सुरक्षित करने के लिए, उस पूरे प्रक्रिया को में कुछ हमारे योगदान के लिए. So when you see that sense of pride and then you see the cynics, I don't understand. Now,
so this is what is happening. People are not happy that India is reached where India is reached.
Correct.
And that is why this is putting your whole system in a question.
In a question mark. And I want to put the next question to Rhythm, because Rhythm, I think we must push Mr. Salve more on that point. It's going viral already. He's saying, why is it that there is always an American behind the doubters? There's always, you know, when Kejriwal, this 2019 case has said it's very easy to hack the machine, there was an American who said, I can hack it. Mr. Salve appeared, I think, before the Election Commission or for the Election Commission.
The Supreme Court.
Yeah, and he appeared before the Supreme Court and he said...
defending Election Commission.
Defending the Election Commission. And later also, now we find many American interests, American publications, Western publications questioning our process. So maybe you can follow through with him on that rhythm.
Sure. Mr. Salve, like
I will just add one
question we
thing.
need.
Somebody recently told me, your India is not giving a fair chance to all political opponents to contest elections. I said, yes, we are following in America's footsteps. See what you're doing to Trump.
Mr. Salve, very interestingly, like what Arnab said, and I want to tell you today, para 5 of the judgment of Justice Datta is so clear. He says, I have serious doubts as regards the bona fides of the Petitioner Association. This is the Petitioner Association, the Association for Democratic Reforms, allegedly a non-profit organization, allegedly activists and allegedly lawyers who state in the Supreme Court that EVMs are not correct. My question here is, this is not the first case that you and I have seen in the Supreme Court where NGOs are being misusing the work they have, but the Supreme Court also says vested interest groups that are trying to undermine the achievements of the nation should stop. There seems to be a concerted effort to discredit, diminish, and weaken the progress of our nation. Sir, when is it, do you think, the NGOs and the scam of the NGOs that's been exposed now is going to end?
Have you done your research to find out who are the members of the Association of Democratic Reform?
I actually did just before coming on the show.
It's a very high-sounding name. Who are they?
Well, there are a couple of activists. There are some lawyers. Some
Name
judges.
them, Rhythm.
Okay, the lawyer for them is Prashant Bhushan, whom Mr. Salve
Exactly.
is always berating India.
Always.
And,
Always.
Even the Supreme Court
Incessantly.
today, he spoke.
I'm asking you for a reason. There was a PIL filed based again on a draft CAG report when Reliance had been given the geo license for 1,800 crores. And this is when the license was minus the spectrum, despite which Reliance had to pay 1,800 crores because the government said we yet have to fix the price. After which the price has been fixed on the license, it's I think 100 crores or 200 crores. But again, on the draft CIG report, a writ petition had been filed by the Center for Public Interest Litigation. It came up before Chief Justice Thakur's bench. He said, please explain to me what is this Center for Public Interest Litigation. I can understand an environmental association or a gender protection association or a rivers protection association filing a PIL. What is this Center for Public Interest Litigation? Who decides which cases to bring? So he gave the name of late Mr. Anil Diwan, late Mr. Fali Nariman, and 4-5 others. Promptly the next day, when he said, Chief Justice asked him, have all of them seen and approved your petition? There was no answer, and I do remember Mr. Anil Diwan and Mr. Nariman made statements next day saying, we are no party to this.
Very important, very important.
So please check who are the high-sounding names in this association and how many of them are willing to put their name on a challenge to EVMs. Please ask them next time.
Yes.
And the American
How many
angle.
of them are willing to say that an unknown American expert or some unknown expert somewhere is saying that the Indian elections are a third-rate process because they are all based on a machine.
But who's paying these American? Who's paying these American experts?
Please find out. And also, and if they are doing it pro bono, it's worse because that means somebody is paying them and they are not disclosing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah, and you were just running a clip of somebody saying, "Kya kiski jaan EVM mein?" It's a very derisive comment.
Very, very, very.
Correct? Now, what is the message you are giving to the world? People as it is hate the fact that you have a stable democracy. I am telling you, in UK today, one of the biggest concerns is how stable is the government. Italy governments keep falling. Germany governments are in problem. They envy the stable government we have had for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
They envy the stability of political. You may like Indian policies, you may dislike them, you can attack a policy,
Yes,
criticize it, condemn it.
Yeah.
But there is political stability, there is certainty.
True that.
And people are envious of that.
Absolutely.
So they want to say, oh, but because you're a banana republic, your elections are all rigged. What's this big story about Indian democracy? So that is really what is going on. And I'm sorry, we Indians are the first ones standing in queue to throw bricks on our own face.
Next panel. Absolutely. Yes, Rhythm.
Mr. Salve, if I can ask you one more question. There have been several cases that you've appeared in the Supreme Court. There was a Chhattisgarh case we all remember. It was about certain Naxalites and protection. At that time also, there were certain people who were brought on record. That time there was an Australian, I believe, expert who was brought in. The questions that need to be asked to them is, are they so bothered about human rights in their own country before they come to ours and question ours in the top court?
I'll tell you, now that you're provoking me, I will tell you. I was appearing for the Chhattisgarh government. There was a lady petitioner, I don't want to name her. She had a different name from the author of an article in Hindu. Later on, my clients, the government said, sir, do you know her husband writes articles and the wife files petitions? And in the course of the hearing, one of their lawyers, who is one of these activist lawyers, walks in with some people, says, look at these people, they will tell you, they're telling the judges what is going on, and they were not even allowed to enter. And I said, who are these gentlemen? They were obviously not Indian, they were foreign. And he said, they are from Australia Broadcasting Corporation. I said, first, please ask them if they have ever made a study of what happened to the Aboriginals in Australia, of what happens in the outback of Australia to people who are treated badly. I mean, Australia has serious problems. Every country has serious problems. Have they ever studied all that? No. They are not interested in their own country. The Americans are not interested about what's happening to the original American, the what we call the Red Indians. They are not interested in that. They're interested in India. They're interested in Indian tribals. What about their own country? Their own country, when white people went and settled at tribals, what's happened to them? Why don't you worry about that? Why don't you stop worrying about Indian tribals? We are good enough to take care of our own. So, this goes on all the time.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Harish Salve, you put it excellently in perspective. And you've also given a very, very interesting spin to it, where you have said that there's always this American angle. And I'm of the view, Mr. Salve, some international random expert in some random place making a random allegation.
And see what happened in Hindenburg. An Indian company, which has a global reputation, took a banging.
Which has strategic interests, which has strategic value for India globally, which is doing business in Central Asia and in the Gulf region, in the Middle East, with Israel, that is critical to India's strategic interests, is targeted.
Then you feed information. Yeah. You feed information, that comes back and you produce it in their report.
Correct.
So, these are things where trouble is we blink at it, we move on, and again the next petition will come with similar allegations.
No, as I conclude,
you must run this to the ground.
No, we have to. We will. I mean, if anybody will, Republic will. We are very categorical about this. I've stuck my neck out on it, Mr. Salve, throughout.
Yes.
Throughout. And I feel so proud when I go to the voting booth, Mr. Salve. And I thank you for putting it in perspective. You've been fighting this since in 2019 and before, and you played a stellar role as usual, Harish Salve. Thank you for setting up the debate from Rhythm and me.